Hi, everyone. Karma Disco here from UIA TV. We are back with our education series. We got a great one for you today. We almost forgot to turn the cameras on, but we have an awesome show planned. Let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Warren Tuttle. Warren, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, Carmine, everything's great. And everything's, the snow's starting to melt, starting to get warmer here. We're up in the 30s. It's all good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So you got a lot of stuff going on, man. I've been trying to catch up with you. You're doing like a worldwide book tour.
Yeah. The book is Inventor Confidential. It's launching March 23rd. It's bestseller in product development and design now on Amazon. So pretty excited. My agent's all excited because he's never seen a book hit the bestseller before it even came out. So I think when people start reading, it'll probably calm the sales will probably, calm down a little bit. But that's excellent. And of course, we got a lot of great stuff going on. Everybody knows the UIA is a nonprofit. We're here for education, and our series is going great. Last week we had Sarah on with Olive and June, who's just rocking the house, and this week will be even better with Aaron. So.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I'm going to start sharing the links out there, and we got a great guest. I don't even want to use up the time because this is going to go fast. So why don't you go ahead and introduce our guests? I'm going to start sharing these links across social media.
Yeah, usually Carmine and I have to take up lots of time, but today we're going to get right into it. So listen, today we have two amazing guests and really good friends, Aaron Krause and Chris Guerrero. I'm really looking forward to talking to Aaron. Chris, I know very well. We do a lot of things together. And I'm really excited because I know and read and have followed Aaron extensively. And really, I'm so excited about all his success, but really, really happy to have him on and tell his own story today. So, hey, Aaron, welcome to the UIA show.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Excited to share my story. Let's hope it inspires a whole new generation of entrepreneurs and inventors.
That's awesome, and I can't help but see the sign behind. Now, are you a Philly native?
I'm a Philly fanatic, as they say here in Philadelphia. Yeah. Born and bred right here in Philadelphia, just like the Scrub Daddy. Right. Huge Flyers fan, Eagles fan, and I have about 70 of my closest relatives live in the Philadelphia area. I'm telling you, from the time I was a child, my grandmom told me that if I ever moved out of Philadelphia, she'd disown me. And my dad, when I went to college, he put a compass on the map and did a circle and said, anywhere outside of this circle, I pay for. Anywhere inside the circle, I pay for. Anywhere outside, you pay for. And that was just to keep me as close to home as possible. So I love Philadelphia, and looks like I'm staying here for a long time.
That's funny. Well, there's some great colleges in Philadelphia and nearby, so I'm sure you went to a great school. But did you ever see that movie? Was it Invincible?
Of course.
Yeah. You look like you could play for the Eagles. I'm looking do the tryout, but it's really great to see you. I'm a Connecticut, New York guy, but I've been down to Philly many, many, many times, and I think I even recognize that signboard. So, but thanks for taking time out.
This is real. We had these posted all over the Philadelphia area as part of a marketing campaign about 6 months ago.
Well, it must be really cool to be out driving and see your own signboard. I mean, right?
Yeah. I'll be very honest. One of the places I put it was on my daily commute to work, just so I can look at it every day.
Now, do you have old friends from like high school that suddenly remember you now, or?
People always come out of the woodwork now. That happened, after the Shark Tank. But I will tell you, my best friend from high school is someone also who I've known since I was 10 years old. He's the chief strategy officer for Scrub Daddy. We work together every day, and he just walked out of the room a few minutes ago.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so happy about that. And listen, we're going to bring Chris in a few minutes as your good buddy. But let's get started with you and Aaron. If you want to just take a couple of minutes, however far back you want to go after college. But how you sort of got on. We'll talk more about Shark Tank, but how you kind of got that lead to get on and how your overnight success, I'm sure, happened over a long period of time. Maybe you can just bring us up to speed.
Well, everybody who thinks it's an overnight success has no idea what it takes to actually have a success. This has been 30 years in the making. I started out literally washing cars when I was in high school. On my hands and knees, I learned everything I could about business by having my own business. I took that through college. Will always wash cars. I actually started a full-time car washing business when I first graduated, thinking that I was going to start what we call the Domino's Pizza of detailing, which was they had free delivery in 30 minutes, and we had free pickup and delivery and got your car done in 3 hours. My parents were not too excited about that concept. My dad's a cardiac surgeon. My mom's a pediatrician. My sister is one of the top federal judges in the country. I graduate, Syracuse University with with a minor in marketing and a degree in psychology. And my dad says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to start my own business." He said, "Well, what kind of business do you think you'll start?" I said, "Well, I've been washing cars since I was a kid. I think I'll start that." My mom was like, "Disown him." My grandma was crying. My dad said, "You have till the end of the summer to make it into a real business and get it out of my house."
That's so
That's
cool.
what I did. And I want to credit him with one thing he said to me. He said, "However much money you save up in a bank account and show it to me on paper, I will match it at a loan at 2 points higher than the bank because you're a bad credit risk." and that is literally how I started. And I started this car washing business, and it grew very, very quickly. And in that business, I had been inventing and tinkering with ideas since I was a child. I loved taking things apart, seeing how they worked inside. And I'd always been, come up with usually they were processes. Like I'd come up with a new process to turn my lights on and on in the house by connecting dental floss and wheel casters around the wall so I could turn the light on and off from my bed, before they ever had the clapper. And I remember rewiring the phones in my house. My parents said I couldn't have a phone in my room. So I figured out how the phones worked, and I ran a wire, just 4 colors, and you kind of put them into this box, and I just ran the wire into the carpet. And I always remember doing that stuff. None of them were ever products. But one day in the car washing business, I actually damaged a car, and I was sure it wasn't my fault. It was the shape of the pad that I was using. And I envisioned this new shape that had beveled edges on it. And it didn't exist. And I figured out a way to make it, which is a really long story. And I don't have enough time here, I think, to give that whole story. But I figured out how to make it, and I also got my first patent on it. And I ended up selling the car washing business. I started manufacturing buffing pads. I did that from 1994 until the business was bought out by one of the largest companies in the world in 2008, 3M, who was my biggest competitor, acquired the company. And in the acquisition, by 2008, I had invented about 14 other things and got patents on all of them. But when we went to sell the business, I wanted up here, and 3M wanted to give me down here. And the way that we got to the middle is a really interesting story. We fought for a year over it until they finally said, "You need to put on paper and justify every single one of the assets of the company and give it a value." And when I did that, they went through and started crossing things out. They crossed out a brush that I invented that cleans the buffing pads. They crossed out an apron that I had cord holders on. And they crossed out a sponge that I invented for cleaning body shops and mechanics' hands, which we had called Scrub Daddy. And they carved it out of the deal. And because they didn't want it, and we weren't selling a lot of them, I put probably 100 of these things in a box and labeled it scrap. And it sat there for 5 years while I went to work as a developer and a consultant for 3M.
Wow.
And 5 years later, I rediscovered the product and its real meaning of life, which was doing dishes, totally by accident. My wife was nagging me to clean the lawn furniture, and I started out using a gross, moldy, Scotch Brite sponge with a green scour on the back, and scratched the paint off of it. And my wife is screaming at me, and I was like, "What am I going to use?" And I remembered this box of sponges, hard, rough sponges at the office. I thought I'll use them. And that's when I discovered the texture changed, and they had made it their way to my sink. I started doing dishes with them, and really everything changed from that point. I realized that this needed to be in every household, and we started trying to market it. And we had very, very poor success. I could only get into 5 supermarkets. And the way I ended up getting it big time was I contacted the local newspaper, and I told them, they were writing all these negative stories. This is 2011, about how the Chinese are taking all our jobs. We're going to go into a depression, the end of our economy. And I said, you guys write all these negative stories. You never write a really positive one. Why don't you come down? I'm here in the Philadelphia area, and I'm creating new jobs, inventing new products. I sold my last company to 3M. Wait till you see what I'm going to do next. They came down, they wrote an article called He's the Daddy of the Scrub Daddy. And that's actually what I end up calling myself now. I call myself the Daddy of the Scrub Daddy. And the article went viral in the Philadelphia area. And a guy called me up and said, "Wow, I love your story. I love the concept. You ever heard of QVC? I think this thing could sell on television." And I said, "Oh, you could never sell a sponge on TV." He said, "No, I think you could. I think I can get you a meeting there." I ended up going to QVC, doing it's a great story. Again, one day we'll have some more time. I'll give you I'll give you some of the funniest stories you ever heard. But the buyer ends up saying, we like it and we want you to be the on-air personality. I said, absolutely not. There's no way I'm getting on TV or being in front of a camera. And they said, no, you're going to do great. You really, really feel like you have the right personality for it. I did my first show. It was a disaster. I fell on my face. The show was over before I could even speak. We didn't sell enough. That's the death knell for QVC.
Yeah.
You go on QVC and you don't sell well, you will never be on again.
Yeah.
Unbelievably, I get a call from the buyer and the producer who said, we loved your energy. We kind of wish you had a chance to talk more. And we'd like you to have one more show. So the second show, wow. I mean, I powered through every demo. I almost, you're not supposed to do this, but I almost didn't let the host of QVC even speak because I had to get 40 demos. We sold out in 6 minutes.
Wow.
The next show, I did the exact same thing at a better time, and they doubled their order, and I sold out in 8 minutes.
Wow.
They put me on a Saturday and doubled that order, and I sold out again in 8 minutes. And I went home, and I said to my wife, forget entrepreneurship, inventing. I was meant to be a TV personality, and I really like it. I like being on TV. It's the biggest rush, especially live TV, you know, where it's really stressful. I just get off on it. It's so much fun.
Now, well, let's take a break right there because I want to come back and parlay the next thing. But I've been on QVC many times myself. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it is a trip, right? I mean,
it's a rush.
Exactly. So we're going to come right back. By the way, I also went to St. Lawrence, right up the street from you in Syracuse. And I'm still part of the group that I played Syracuse and lacrosse many times.
Yeah, the good lacrosse team.
Oh yeah, they were great. So hey, so let's bring in your buddy Chris Guerrero, and then Aaron, we're going to bring you guys back in together. But hey, Chris, so we got started with Aaron. Chris Guerrero is a member of the UIA board, a good friend of ours, and all, and done some great things. Chris, why don't you just tell us about where you were going to come in from your Good Morning America and how you met Aaron, and then we'll take it from there.
I mean, interesting what Aaron said about how you start out at a young age, right? So I was 13 going to a technical high school in Waterbury, Connecticut. You might even know it, Warren, Caner Tech.
Yeah.
And everyone told me I said I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to do design work and loved it, loved working with my hands. And everyone said, why would you want to do that? You know, my dad was electrical, my brother was something else. And I said, because I like it. And I stayed with it my entire life. So think about that for a second. Being 13 years old and staying in a field your entire life. So now that brought me through all the corporate ranks, right? So I was director of engineering for Ford plants. I had 4 of them. I'm the 1/8 turn gas cap on that patent as a chief design engineer, which truly revolutionized the industry. Because right after that, GM came out with a quarter, BMW came out with a snap. And then I just, I learned so much at BMW with running operations and Lean Six Sigma that not many people enjoy it as much as me. It's pretty interesting because it's so detailed in data. I absolutely love it. And you can see the differences of not having it versus really doing it. You know, tool changes that would take 2 hours are now taking 10 minutes. And large corporations where you're running live broadcast, you're delivering to assembly lines. So there is no room for error.
And that's when you were running the X5 plant.
Yeah, the
first
X5
one down in Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah,
right, in Greenville. And I actually moved back. I loved it so much, the area. I ended up moving back. And I'll tell you, for me, that was a game changer because that became such instilled in what I do every day now. I've turned it into a company, literally. I mean, it started out with managing corporate America, and that's what led me to one weekend. I decided I'm not going to do any yard work. I'm going to go visit Good Morning America. I'm going to take a trip to Manhattan. I hadn't been there in a while. And I said, but I want to go check out Good Morning America because I'm always watching it. And I showed up and Jillian, one of the producers, started talking to me a little bit. You can tell she was interviewing me, asked me if I wanted to be on TV. I said, yeah, sure. Put me on with Ginger Z. And then before you know it, we stayed in contact. A week later, she said, hey, I get a phone call on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock, which, I'm ready for bed. And I always think it's one of my kids calling. They need money. That's typically the call. They're planning the weekend. So the Thursday night call, can you help a brother out? I picked it up. It was Jillian. I said, hey, you have a product, right? You want to be on Good Morning America Shark Tank? We do them on Fridays. But here's what I needed. I need you to do a video of you pitching it, and I need you to have it to me by the morning at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm flying out. She said, well, this is your only chance. I need it by 9 because I have to book it. If it's good, you'll be on next Friday. So I call up my team. They're like, let's go to the plant right now. I said, I'm going to bed. I'll see you at 5 o'clock in the morning. Wrote a script, did 10 takes. 8 o'clock, we were done. We used the first take. I sent it. I landed at 2. Phone call rang. Jillian said, see you next Friday and Good Morning America. Shark Tank. That's how it started. That led me to being on a Shark Tank aisle at Ace Hardware, and that's where I met Aaron.
Wow.
It's funny how that stuff happens, but that's how we became friends.
Well, you guys have so much in common, so maybe now we'll start intertwining you. But Aaron, let's come back to you because you were on QVC, right? The first time didn't work out. I know exactly what you're talking about. The first time I went on, I had the host feed accidentally, and I was like, and tell me if I'm not wrong, but you're trying to look at the numbers, scrolling and multiply by the retail, divide by the minutes. You're trying to do all this stuff in your head, right?
Well, the host is talking to you in one ear. The producer is in your other ear.
Right.
2 monitors in front of you are changing. Right. The cameras are changing. You got to get into the right cameras, and you got to do your demos. I mean, it is as much stress as you can possibly.
Well,
take.
I always say it's like probably we'll put it in Eagles terms. I shouldn't say it anymore, but if you're Carson Wentz and the first time you're in a game and you got like some big linebacker bearing down on you, right? And what do? You just focus, and you just focus on getting the demo done and making it look, perfect. And this about QVC, it's live. Yep.
And it's unscripted. So you don't know really what's going to happen. You only have a general sense of these are some demos I need to do, and I need to figure out how to do it where I'm talking to the host and I'm talking to the person that's at home watching it.
Right.
And the truth of it is I did come home and started bragging to my wife that I should be on TV more. And that night we sit down to watch our favorite show that's about entrepreneurs and inventors and capitalism and investment, and it's called Shark Tank.
Sure.
And I watch a couple guys walk in that just should not be representing themselves on national TV. They don't know their numbers. They don't know their product. It's just a disaster. And you know how the story goes. Mr. Wonderful kicks them out and tells them, take your product out back, shoot in the head. You're dead to me. And I turned to my wife. I said, what a bunch of morons. How do you go on a national TV show and you don't know your numbers? You're not prepared. I could go on Shark Tank and kill the sharks. I go on TV all the time. Well, you know what? How do you go on Shark Tank? Look at that. There's a website.
No, at this point, by the way, you didn't know Lori then at QVC, right?
No, not at all. In fact, get this. Lori wasn't a shark.
Oh, okay.
When I applied for the show, Lori wasn't a shark.
Oh, was that Kevin Harrington back then?
No, it was Barbara Corcoran was there. It was the sharks that you see now. And I think Kevin was on too. Yeah. But they started subbing Lori in season 4 as a guest. You know how they bring guests in?
Right.
They'll have Charles Barkley on.
Right.
They'll have Sir Richard Branson on now. They'll have Sarah Blakely on. They'll bring people on as guests. So season 4, I send an email and I get a call 3 months later. Hey, we're looking through for our next season. Saw your email. Can you tell us a little bit more? I said, can I tell you a little more?
Where do we start?
You a lot more. And I kept them on the phone for like an hour, and I sent them, I could link them because on QVC, the last show you do is online. Oh. And you literally watch it. Like right now, if you went to QVC's website and typed in Scrub Day, you can watch every one of the last shows I did on every product. And so I'm able to show them, guys, I can hang on TV. It's going to be fine. And they said, wow, we really like it. And, that culminated to them flying me out to LA to do basically it's an audition in front of 30 executives from Sony and ABC.
So you kind of skipped the line, right? I mean, once they saw your tape.
Season 4, there wasn't like this line. They had very few of the what they call like the in-person auditions, which obviously went away now in COVID, right? Because no one could go to them. But again, season 1 and season 2, the show was on the verge of getting canceled. Season 3, they actually had a little bit of success, but they were still trying to find entrepreneurs. It wasn't like the people were banging the door to get on this show yet. Season 4 was when it really started happening for them. And so they were taking emails, they were reaching out to people that they heard about, and they started this idea of audition. So I don't know if I skipped the line. It was just the right time. You know how much a business is timing. Yeah, sure. It was the right place and the right time. And so I do this audition in front of the executives, I'll never forget Mark Burnett and Clay Newbill. I finished doing and there's no back and forth. There's no conversation. It's 30 people in front of laptop computers. You just see the tops of their heads. You do just your demo. It's 2 minutes long, whatever. And they say, bring your suitcase packed, because if it's a thumbs down, you get on the van and they take you right to the airport.
Right.
You're not getting on Shark Tank.
It's like The Bachelor.
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah, and you're fired, right? You're dead. So I finished my pitch. I gave everything I had. And Mark Burnett goes, Aaron, that was amazing. Can you do that again? And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Dude, first of all, it would take me an hour to reset up all the demos. I got to burn all the sauces back on and heat the waters and wash the bowl. He's like, not now, tomorrow when you film with the sharks. And I said, oh yeah, I could do that again. And I went home and went back to the hotel room. I had my engineer with me.
Where was this all? This was in California?
This is in California on the set of Sony.
Okay.
In 2012, it's in Culver City. And it's actually right next to Wheel of Fortune. It's really cool. Your literally set is right next to Wheel of Fortune. So the next day, I'm getting ready to film. I'm in the dressing room and the producer comes in and he says, you ready? I'm like, I was born ready for this. He's like, not so fast, tough guy. We got about another hour or so, but gotta tell you something. We're gonna try something new. We're gonna switch Barbara out for this girl named Lori Grenier. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've practiced for every one of the sharks. I've read all their books. I've watched every episode of Shark Tank 20 times. I know what Barbara's gonna ask me about. I know what Kevin's gonna ask me about. I know you can't, they're like, dude, we're switching out. They call her the queen of QVC. She gets people on QVC. I'm like, I'm already on QVC. He's like, yup. And that's why 1 down, 4 to go. And he slams the door. And that's how I walked onto Shark Tank. I walked onto Shark Tank thinking, don't talk about QVC. Don't talk about QVC. Within 5 minutes, they dragged it out of me where I was selling it.
Wow. And was Lori familiar with it though?
No, Lori, I had never met Lori. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. We had, the show is real, guys.
Yeah.
There is no script. That's why it's perfect for me. It was QVC. It's live to tape, which means that it's one take. If you mess up and they yell cut, it's over. They erase the tape and you'll never be on Shark Tank. You walk in, it's the first time you meet them, you talk to them, they have no background on you. The show is as you see, except that it's more like an hour and a half to 2 hours in the tank. And then they edit that down to the best, most dramatic 10 minutes. So what you saw is exactly what happened to me, but you didn't see the part where we started getting into like cost of goods sold and gross margins and my whole back. Like they condense it down to the best, 10 minutes.
Right.
And that's how I got on Shark Tank.
Well, let's come back to Chris, because Chris's show hasn't aired yet, but Chris is a few years later has gone through a similar process. Although now 8 years later, how many hundreds of thousands of people want to get on Shark Tank? So, Chris, maybe you jump in here and tell about your experience, and then again,
and I'll just say, Aaron was always an inspiration for me. Like when we met, we just hit it off, right? We went to an Eagles game. I'm such a good friend of Aaron's now that I actually wore Eagles clothing. Wow. So did Brandy. Brandy's a Patriots fan, and I'm a Vikings fan. We wore Eagles gear.
Hey, forget about the Eagles. We're Flyers now. It's
They love my Flyers.
Yeah, so my experience is a little bit different, right? Because I'm season 12, and there's not a lot I can talk about now because I'm still in the midst of negotiations, but very different scenario. I did the same thing Aaron did. I sent an email with some products that I have, and they called me. Was in the car with Brandy, got a call, live call. And they were asking me a lot of questions, and it was a couple products, and they picked the one that they wanted me to go on. But like Aaron said, it's not really the product. They're after you. They're entertainment. So I had to go through, everything was Zoom. They had 120,000 applicants.
Wow.
Season 12. In my group, they picked 50. It's insane.
That's thanks to Scrub Daddy. Nobody knows before that.
No kidding. I mean, it's
I think
a lot harder.
My season only had about 30,000 applicants.
Only.
Yeah. So there you go. Over 120,000.
Hey, this is like getting into Syracuse.
Yeah, my daughter wants to go there, so let's hope she goes.
I'm
going to buy a library for her.
Right.
So you start with.
Got to upgrade the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, they need to do that.
Need that.
I spent, 5 years in Syracuse. I think I like the Greenville area a little bit better from a weather standpoint.
We like Syracuse.
I can tell you, we started growing rapidly, and you can't rely on Shark Tank for all your success, right? So it gives you a nice boost.
Right.
What you do from there, I mean, I've seen people tank their businesses from there. But we were doing it right. I had run another business before, another successful business that I sold to a Fortune 50 company. I really felt like I knew what I was doing, and we started going to trade shows all around the country.
Right.
And periodically, I would walk around. I'd love to see other entrepreneurs, especially inventors, and see what they're doing. I walk by this guy, Chris, and he's got a personality like mine. And we just start.
What show is that? What show is that you met Chris at?
Chris, it was the Houseware show, wasn't it?
Houseware, yeah.
Were you back in the Inventor Corner, Chris? Is that where you?
Yeah.
We started
that
that
all the time.
Yeah, we
I
started
always
that.
want to meet these guys,
Yeah.
and I was really impressed with his product, his demo, his pitch. And he was like, yeah, and I was on Shark Tank on Good Morning America. I was like, dude, that's amazing. Like, you got to apply for the real show. And so like, it's all coming full circle now, Chris.
And it really is. And to listen to Aaron talk about it, I mean, it really is an inspiration, and watch his success. And I'm telling you, when we went to the football game together, I mean, Brandy was with us, these guys, and Will, his best friend, Will, another great guy. I mean, they're just super people to hang around with. Brandy absolutely loves these guys. I mean, they're just fun to be around. We had such a good time.
I got more hair than you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm much better looking. But obviously,
I won't deny that.
But Chris, it's great to hear that. Even I was an inspiration to you, because I think you're also an inspiration to me. But I will send you an email after this where to send the check.
Yeah.
Nobody's
pretty cool invitation to see the new plant.
Pretty cool that you guys met at the Houseware show. That's my industry. I've been going to the Houseware show since the late 70s. After I got out of St. Lawrence, I was a buyer at Abraham and Strausson City. But we the UIA for many years helped build and grow out that Inventor Corner, and then I think by the time you guys came along, they took it back in house, so we probably weren't involved in it anymore.
But you know what, Warren? What I find with Aaron, like, he always has new products coming out, right? That's the key. Right? Continuing to build the brand. And every time I saw him with a new product, man, not because it was me, he could have called me and told me about it. He wanted to demo it and show it. And he's so passionate about it. I mean, you can't get any better entrepreneurship than someone wanting to show you a new product at his status.
Yeah, but Chris, we've talked about this so many times. You know what that subliminally means? It means if he's demoing it, it has to work, right?
Oh, absolutely.
People don't want to show you their product because it doesn't work, right?
Right, so, 100%.
Listen, I'm glad you said that, and this is something that I feel is really instrumental to when I pitch a product, especially on QVC. And it's because when I do it, I'm not acting. Like, you can hire paid people to go on and demonstrate your product for you. I don't do that. I like to go on and do the shows myself, and it really resonates with people because I can't fake it, because it's my baby and I'm showing it to you. And I firmly believe in it 110%. I know it's not snake oil. I know I'm not faking it. I know I'm not lying to you about it. And so that comes across. Yeah. And that's why the sales, also come across.
But it's so meaningful. And I talk about that a lot in my book, because in my own way, I look at 5,000 products a year, for the companies I run open innovation programs. But there's so many people that are faking it and mailing it in. You get a sell sheet, you get a CAD. What does a CAD mean? CAD doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove it works. They haven't built them. They haven't gone through the right process of proving function and all that stuff. And they're being coached that way. I mean, it just seems like.
And the other part of that is you see a lot of companies that are doing innovation and it's just marketing.
Yeah, that's right.
Not innovation, it's just marketing.
Yeah.
And I won't do that. When Scrub Daddy comes out with a product, and this happens, I got a huge team of people. I got 75 people working for me now. And I got a team of engineers that are in product development, and I'm heavily involved in product development, because they'll come to me and be like, oh, this product works great. Why don't we just put our name on it? I'm like, that's brand slapping. We're not a brand slapping company. Right. We're an innovative company. Come up with something that changes the game. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of it. We have a new product called Soap Daddy that we just recently launched. We're sold out right now, so don't try to get it. One of these influencers went on and we sold 30,000 of them in 2 days.
Wow.
But I can tell you something about it. It is real innovation. My COO, who's been working with me for 20 years now, he came to me and said, everybody loves using our sponge, but we should have a dispenser that puts the soap on it. I'm like, there's tons of companies doing that. That's not innovation. So, a couple of weeks later, he comes to me and he found one. He's like, look, you press the sponge on the top and the soap goes into the sponge. I'm like, I know. You could buy that in a dollar store. Like, there's no innovation to that. I'm not interested. I told you that. He's like, if we put our name on this would sell. I said, that's marketing. Yeah. We're not brand slapping. So, I don't know, 2 months later, he comes back and he says, hey, I got this idea about the soap dispenser. I said, I told you already. No. He's like, look, it shoots soap out the top. I said, yeah, it doesn't. That's not impressive. He goes, but look at this. You squeeze it and it shoots soap out the bottom. And my jaw hits the floor. I said, wait, what? He said, I took a mayonnaise bottle that they have that you squeeze now and the mayonnaise comes out. And I cut the bottom off of this soap dispenser that you press the top and it shoots the soap up. And I hot glued in that into the bottom. And then I filled it with soap and you squeeze it and soap shoots out the bottom and soap comes out. I said, now that is patentable, intellectual property. It's a game changer. That's Scrub Daddy. That project is approved and we're fast tracking it.
Wow.
I put it on QVC. We sold 80,000 of them in 24 hours. One day.
That's awesome. So he's an inventor now. Right?
And now members of my team are actually inventing products.
But the other
they'll put me out the pasture.
The other well, you'll enjoy that someday. But the other thing of slapping your brand on it is you can get away with that for a little while, but within a couple of years, your brand is entirely eroded, right? Instead of growing.
Absolutely. I mean, what you're really doing is you are not just jeopardizing your brand, you're degrading your brand. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're doing a disservice to your brand. And I totally agree. After a couple of years, people like, that's the end of the innovation out of that company.
Right. Yeah.
And Warren, one other thing that I noticed when I was at Aaron's facility, right? You can quickly tell, and I've been doing the corporate America business for a long time, right? And people are the business.
Sure.
Right? The product is an aspect of people are the business. And I'm telling you, when I visited that plant, you can see they loved being there. It was clear as day. And that is huge for innovation and people wanting to do the right thing, wanting to contribute. And you can clearly see it in his plants. I think that's another reason why, when I look at Aaron, I say, wow, I have a strong manufacturing background, and his plants are laid out and designed the way I would run one of my plants. Cool. So another key aspect, I think, in the business world.
Yeah, but do you have to take a Flyers loyalty oath to work there? Or
well, you kind of do. If you've noticed, our product is orange and all of our stuff is orange. And if you want to know why, and this is not a joke, the reason that's orange is it's actually the Flyers colors.
So that's funny.
It's and Syracuse, just so.
And Syracuse too. I went to St. Lawrence with Bernie Perrant when the Flyers won their cups, and Bernie Perrant, and I remember those teams well. So
I told Aaron when I first met him, I had no idea what Scrub Daddy was. Brandy's mother gave her one to use, and we used it in the kitchen, and I was blown away that it worked over the stove and the hood and stainless steel, no scratches, cleaned it well. I'm like, what is this thing? So I knew about the product before I knew Aaron. And I recall Aaron saying, that's a sign of a good product, right? I'm not buying it because it's friends and family. I bought it and we love it. I mean, truly love it. When I go to like Bed Bath & Beyond and people are in line, I tell them I know Aaron, they go, get out. He's got a cult following.
Yeah, that's so true.
It really is pretty cool.
I had a product called Smart Spin that I went to visit my mom and she had bought one at Walmart. And I said, Ma, I would have given you one. And she actually bought it. But Chris, tell us just a little bit more about the current Shark Tank experience to the extent that you can. And then I want to come back to Aaron about his next steps after Shark Tank, because I think that's so true. It's just a boost, but it's not, you have to take it from there. But Chris, maybe just fill us in on that.
No, I think it's a lot of work. It's not, like Aaron said, it's not quick and easy, right? You have to know your numbers. Yep. You have to have some sales. At least I felt that a lot of videos, and I was doing it in the COVID world. So a lot of Zooming, nothing live truly until the day of the pitch. And even that day was an 8-hour day. I mean, you're just hanging around waiting. It was, I had to spend 10 days, and I'm not telling anything that no one doesn't know now because Shark Tank aired it and talked about it. It was in Vegas and the Venetian, and we had to spend 10 days as an entrepreneur in a room, a motel room. Couldn't even go in the hallway.
In quarantine.
in quarantine through a quarantine temperature. I had to take 4 tests. I mean, it was, and you're going through the pitch lines and, there's some acting involved, right? It's entertainment. I know your numbers.
You couldn't sneak down the freight elevator to the
They had hall monitors. You were not. Matter of fact, I think there was some people talking in the hallway from room to room, and they shut that down. I mean, it was pretty intense. It was pretty serious.
And Chris, the amount of due diligence they did on you, right? It was pretty amazing, right?
A lot of paperwork, I think I said this at a Make 48 conference before when we did me and Aaron did some Make 48 Shark Tank stuff at the Smithsonian, that you're asking for, investment. They have a right to know what your business is and what you are personally.
Yep.
They're investing in you, not just a product line. So yeah, a lot of due diligence.
I always say that all the time, same with me, because I make decisions on products every day. I evaluate the person as much as the product. So I'm sorry, Aaron, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, if you want to go on Shark Tank, just be prepared. They're going to, it's much worse than going through TSA. I can tell you that. They're going to take you to the back room, put it that way. Rubber gloves and all.
Yeah.
And you're going to be happy about it.
I won't be happy about it. But the truth is, they want to know everything from your background check to, where you went to school. I mean, I gave them so much information on me. I thought they wanted my firstborn. And the contract that you signed literally is so thick. They have the right to do just about anything. I mean, for many years, they even had the right, to use my image, and it ended. I think it was a 5-year contract. After that, I can do stuff, but they control for the first 5 years. Even if you want to do PR and stuff like that, you got to run it through them first.
Yeah, but tell me about that contract. Oh, that's fun. So did your attorneys look it over, or were you kind of coerced into signing it? Was there much back and forth, or it's just?
I'll tell you something funny. I know I won't get in trouble for it, but this is season 4. But they gave us long contract. I would say 90% of the people that they were giving it to, they just sign it. They just sign their life away.
Yeah.
They don't have any idea what they're reading. The difference here is, like, I've done a lot of contracts. Ones that are even more complicated than this. And I give it to my lawyer, and my lawyer is like, dude, not only is this the most one-sided contract I've ever seen, but parts of it don't even make sense. This section here is referring to a section that doesn't exist. And this section here talks about a different show. I went back, I said, guys, I not only can't I sign it, but like the contract has dead ends and misreferences. They were like, what? So they come back, they're like, thank you so much for pointing that out. We've been using the same contract from Survivor. We just cobbled it together. And they're like, thank your lawyer for fixing our contract. Like,
you could have sent them a bill.
You can pay us bill too. Of course, they didn't do that. But yeah, I did sign it. And it was quite complicated. In the contract that I signed in season 4, they had a right in that contract to a warrant to actually own a percentage of your business should a couple of things happen, like if you aired or you did a deal. And it was years later that Mark Cuban went to town on that clause and said, I'm not going on the show anymore if that's there, because of that clause, we're not getting the top quality entrepreneurs. And the show ethically shouldn't be involved in owning any of the company, because then the show becomes fake.
Yeah.
And the show has a vested interest in who goes on. And they actually canceled it and retroactively canceled it. Plus, they've never asked me for ownership in the company.
They call it the Krause clause, right? but now, so tell me, so what deal did you get? Okay, so you went on, right? And Lori was the one most interested, and you cut the deal with her. What was the deal?
So interesting enough, I was really confident that we had the best product ever. And I'm going to tell you the story just because it's so much fun, and it flows into why Lori and I are together. But I told you I wasn't going to talk about QVC, and they pull it out of me. And right away, Lori goes, you know what, Aaron? I know all the little tricks that we do on QVC to make products look better and to perform better on camera. And your pitch is flawless. It's really amazing. And I watched it different from everyone else because I saw you use 2 different weights and 2 different sponges. You didn't use the same weight and the same sponge and change the texture and show that it gets hard and soft. So I believe one of the weights is heavy and one of them's light, or one of the sponges is hard and one of them's soft and the whole thing's fake. And I'm like, oh, no, absolutely not. It's 100% real. She's like, okay. If it's real, let me take the sponge that you just gave me and I'm going to come down and I'm going to change the texture. And I'm like, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
That's the best thing that could happen.
I'm so excited because she comes down and she starts dipping in the hot and cold water and the sharks are all screaming, Lori, does it work? And I'm standing face to face with her like this. And she's like, oh my God, it's magic. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be my shark. And then I think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, because when this airs, it validates everything about the product. And I can't wait to see this on national TV. And, you never see the show until the day it airs. I saw it just like you saw it.
Right.
I had no idea what was going to be on it. I knew they cut stuff, but there's no way they're going to cut that. That was like the scene of all.
So what do you do, by the way? You're watching every week waiting for it to come on, or do you get some advance?
No. They tell you you get a 2-week notice that it's going to air. And that gives you enough time to really beef up your website and your server and make sure you have some inventory. I had already done all the math behind the scenes, knowing that we were going to air at some point and we needed to have inventory, and we had already built up our server. We had everything in place, because sometimes people, their show airs, their server crashes, they lose all their sales and they go out of business the next day.
I hear you.
So I'm watching this and they don't air it. The story I just told you never happened in TV life. And the only reason that you guys get to see, oh no, you're not gonna be able to see it. Hold on, if I hold it really slow. Oh, you can't see it. Right?
Okay, yeah.
One of Aaron's new products is an invisible phone. I don't know if anybody knows that.
You just see that? The phone just disappears.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go here to the virtual background. I'm just gonna cancel it. So you got this because you want to see this.
Oh yeah.
And this is Lori
cool.
on the set of Shark Tank. So I call the producers and I go, guys, are you kidding me? You cut out one of the best parts of the show. And they said, yeah, Aaron, the show was over in the first 2 minutes. Everyone was going to know that you and Lori were going to be partners. we cut that all out. And so Lori sits back down, and immediately Robert Herjavec tells me he doesn't see any retail vision, and he goes out. And I'm thinking to myself, don't be rude. You know what I mean? I practice never to say thank you. I said, if they go out, they're lucky I don't say something else to you. But I'm not going to say thank you. So Robert says, I don't see the retail vision. I'm out. And I'm like, I understand. And I was thinking, I understand that you have no idea what you're talking about. And
I've already had success in retail.
And you don't know the first thing about retail. And then Mark Cuban tells me I'm a one-product company. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand who you're dealing with. I've got Scrub Mommy coming out. I've got Scrub Baby. I've got all. And he was like, you know what? You might be the Scrub Daddy. I'm not a Scrub Pimp. So I'm out. And I was really shocked. I actually wanted Mark. When I went in there, I'm telling you, I was focused on Mark Cuban because Lori's going out, right? She's the queen of QVC, and I'm already on QVC, so I'm focused on Mark. And so he goes out, and then Mr. Wonderful makes me the worst deal of the century, 50% of the company. So I start laughing. And I'm like, don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. Just laugh and enjoy the moment, because I already knew that he was going to say something nasty. And I already planned to tell him he was out before he told me he was out. And so I just hold. I feel like I'm in Braveheart. Hold. And I'm like, that's it. You're out. Oh my God. He went pale.
Really?
Sat back in his chair. He was so pissed.
Wow.
And I could see in his eyes, he was like, oh, that's going to make the episode for sure.
Yeah.
And it did.
Wow.
And it did.
Wow.
And then Damon says, I'll do half the deal with Lori for 30%. Lori tells him, I don't need you. I'll do it myself for 30%.
Wow.
I'm like, and then Damon's like, I'll do it for 25%. Lori comes back and says that she'll do it for 25%, but for the same money. And then Mr. Wonderful comes back in. He wants back in. He wants to do one of his ridiculous royalty deals. So I negotiate his royalty deal all the way down to 7.5 cents from 50 cents. And I don't even want to work with him. I just want to make him sweat it out. And Damon says he's out. He was just trying to get Lori to double her offer. She ends up doubling her offer.
Wow.
I came in asking for 100,000. Lori's up to 200,000.
Wow.
And then I just negotiated Lori down to 20%. And
wow. So 200,000 for 20%,
yeah.
and no royalties or percentages, or all
no royalties or anything. And
wow.
You know, I'll tell people there's a lot of things about the show that are real, and some things that aren't real. And this is one that's real but not real. So because you do a deal on Shark Tank doesn't mean it's a deal.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it means it's real. Because it's what you're watching is the beginning negotiations of an investor with an entrepreneur. And this is exactly how it really happens. Like when I did my deal with 3M, they came up with a number and we agreed on that. And then they go into the due diligence.
Right.
And that's when they literally dissect your company and they, oh, you didn't tell us about the lawsuit over here. And you didn't tell us and all of a sudden everything changes. Now on Shark Tank, that's what happens. Some people get excited. They talk about their patents. They don't have a patent. They have a pending patent.
Right.
The deal falls apart.
BPA.
Other times, people walk off and they find out, I don't know, some hillbilly Jim goes back and, tells his lawyer, I'm going to do this deal. I sold 75% of my company to Mark Cuban. They're like, you understand now you're an employee, right? You don't own the company anymore. What? And that falls apart. So,
right.
Lori and I, we did get together. We did our due diligence. Took about 2 months.
Is there a time period that you have to conclude that in?
That's a negotiation. That's called a letter of intent.
Okay.
So, right after the show, you get a letter of intent. Obviously I had my lawyer read it and I gave them a period of time that they had to make a decision, and they adhered to that. We got going really fast and, obviously things changed in the deal. So the exact deal isn't, what you saw on TV, but I can tell you, it's confidential, but Lori and I are both very, very happy. And she is a shareholder in the company. I had a 4-hour board meeting with her a couple days ago.
Right.
We do a yearly board meeting. We were on Zoom for 4 hours going through, everything that we did last year and what's coming up. So she's an active participant in the business still. And
so I want to stop you there. Let's get Chris back in because I want to come back to the last part, which is like what you've done since. But Chris, I guess you can't talk too much about you're still waiting to air and all that other stuff. So I don't know. You can either fill in with other supplemental stuff or talk about as much as you can. Obviously this is a show on Shark Tank.
Chris, before you do anything, let me just tell you something, Chris, because I love you, dude. Remember the contract, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you guys a little story, and I'm sorry to take up so much time, Chris, but this plays right into you. Okay, I walked off the set of Shark Tank, and Mark Brunette and Clay Newbill came up to me and said, "That was the best episode I have ever seen." I was like, "Oh my God, you're Mark Brunette." He was like, "But if you ever tell anyone that you're gonna air, I'm gonna sue you for $5 million per occurrence, as is in the contract." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "And remember, you may never air. We may film this and have you a scheduled date, and then there's a war and the president takes over the airways and they preempt your show. And remember, everything is blocked in spots. So if we preempt the show, you never air. And be careful you don't spend a lot of money getting inventory." Anyway, I never thought 2 seconds about that, right? I didn't tell people, but I didn't think it would ever get preempted. And my show aired as on time. But about 6 months later, they filmed a follow-up episode in Bed Bath & Beyond. And I'm telling you, Bed Bath brought in millions of dollars of inventory. I had a huge party and we're there, waiting for Shark Tank to come on. And the only thing on the news is the Boston Bombers.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And they're about to catch them. And I'm watching the clock and I get a call from Lori. "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "Please don't say it." She's like, "We got preempted and your episode is not going to air." And I'm sitting there, there's 4 or 5 executives from Bed Bath in the room. And I'm thinking about how do I get out the back door because I
gotta go to the bathroom.
Hey, I'll be right back. I had to give a speech and apologize to everybody. There's going to be no airing or anything like that. And I just got really, really lucky. A couple weeks later, they ended up deciding to make me part of a 2-hour season finale.
Oh, cool.
And so we ended up airing on it. But Chris?
Chris. All right, Chris.
Chris.
I was going to take it. I'm going to take it a different path, right? So I made a decision to go to Manhattan, right? and instead of doing landscape, I went to Manhattan, met the GMA producer, and this story for me is gold, because not only did I get on Good Morning America Shark Tank, but I stayed in contact, and here I am now ready to propose to Brandy. I've been with her 10 years, right? I'm with my son, Tyler. I said, Tyler, what if I did this live on Good Morning America? And he literally laughed in my face. He said, yeah, you're kidding me. They're never going to do it on Good Morning America. I said, okay. Grab my phone. So I'm going to text the producer. I'm going to text Jillian. 10 seconds later, I get a message back saying, oh, definitely, we'll do it. I don't know if we can do it live because we're booked for 3 months. This is in December of 1999, so before COVID hit. She said, but we'll definitely get you on. And then within a minute, I had VIP passes. So now Tyler's like, did this really just happened? So, okay. So to keep it a secret, I don't tell anybody. The only person that knows is Tyler. We go do the rings, we get everything set up. Now we're in Manhattan. It's the day of the proposal. And I'm still working with producers. They're texting me at 3 a.m. Brandy's like, what are you doing? I said, nothing, I'm just working. I said, we don't have to get up till 5:30. So I want to get all this done before we go on Good Morning America. So right before I leave, I get a call saying all the things I told you, because they're going to bring Brandy on in a commercial and do it with the crowd. They said, everything I told you, forget it. We got a window. I don't know exactly when, but I'm going to give you the motion. I'm going to hand you the mic. You're going to get 2 minutes. Bring the ring and don't F it up, quote unquote. If the cameras are running, I won't mess it up. Now we're on the set. They put us in the front. And no one's talking to me. Now, usually when I go to Good Morning America, I've been there, 5 times. The camera guys know me, and like everyone's ignoring me. They don't want to mess it up. I'm a little nervous. I don't have my line down yet. And Brandy's like, what's wrong with you? I go, I'm not sure what they're going to do, so I'm just trying to get all my thoughts gathered right. She goes, I don't want to be on TV today. Don't make me get on there and say Good Morning America or whatever. I don't want to do it. I go, well, you can't mess it up now. We're here, right? She's doing this. She hooked us up. You got to participate. She's like, well, I don't want to. So sure enough, 8:01, he gives her a finger, they hand me the mic. And I start talking about Robin Roberts. I had met her in 1990. And the last time I was on the show, she remembered the entire incident because she had introduced me to her parents. I had been telling Brandy about it, and she told Brandy the whole story. She knew the whole thing, and she started getting choked up about it. So it was pretty cool. Now I'm doing my whole spiel. I go to give the mic to Tyler to pull the ring out, and Tyler's like, I don't want that mic. He thought he was going to have to talk. So I do the proposal. I mean, before I can even get any words out about, I do the whole Good Morning America, Robin Roberts, and I start going to the proposal. The place went nuts. They were yelling and screaming and cheering. Do the proposal. I ended. He's giving me a hug. What's that?
Did you get down on your knee?
I did. On one knee. Yeah, I got down on one knee, and it was like a step there. So I knew I had to be careful of that. And I ended it perfect. So the whole thing's over. 5 minutes later, they come up to me and go, hey, did she say yes? Brandon's like, of course I did. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she did. Then he goes, well, they're in the back scrambling. Did she swear? I'm like, I don't know. You did the whole signals going 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm trying to focus on making sure I end it. And then Tyler goes, yeah, she swore. I go, Brandon goes, I did? She goes, yeah. He goes, what did I say? He goes, she said, no effing way. She was in shock. Like, she had no idea. So they're in the back, he goes, they're trying to cut you out of Europe. So now Brandy feels awful. Like all of New York season, my phone's blowing up. Feels awful. So here we are, 6 months later. Robin Roberts is doing a pop-in, and they want me to be featured with Robin Roberts. So they film it all in my house. So they do the whole thing again. They do me proposing. Robin Roberts introduces me. She talks about my shoes and about the day it was and how great it was. Shows a proposal, and everybody saw it. And so Brandy's like, oh my God, I finally got redeemed.
Wow. What a story. Well, listen, it just goes to show you, though, you guys getting together, how organic things are, and, really good things grow every day, and they grow into something special. And I know we don't have a whole lot of time, and Aaron, your time is precious as well as Chris's, but just real quick, once you cut the deal, the show ended. Like you said, a lot of people, that's as far as it goes. They lose the momentum. You and Lori teamed up. You had a good team. What did you do next? I mean, was she helpful getting you into retail locations? I mean, what where did you go next? And you know,
well, the next morning, we went on QVC, and we
Together?
together, and we sold something like 70,000 scrub daddies in 6 minutes.
Wow.
Sold out.
Wow.
And you know, our website had already started to explode, and our phone started blowing up. You know, Walmart called us, Home Depot called us.
Wow.
And I was able to, you know, call Lori and say, "Can you jump on a call right now?" And they would love to have you on a call. And that star power just got the deal done and at the price that we wanted.
Now, when you say Walmart and Home Depot, was it senior management? Was it buyers?
No, it was the buyer. It was the buyer. So with Walmart, I think, you know, someone in senior management saw the Shark Tank show, called the department, and said, "Someone get on the phone with this guy. I want that product in Walmart."
Wow.
And the buyer of Home Depot actually saw the show and was like, I got to get this in.
So now your challenge is ramping up production, right? And then projecting out what you need. So, you know, right? Just growing.
So, you know, at that point, we started ramping up big time. We started hiring people. We started changing our packaging and starting to think about the product expansion, not just being Scrub Daddy, and the fact that we had a brand. Because of Shark Tank, we had the opportunity to run with this brand name, and launch all these other products. But you don't want to do it haphazardly. And we started out doing it a little bit haphazardly. Like we started making, you know, different packages for each product, and you know, we didn't have that uniformity. And we said we gotta hit the pause button, and we got to restructure the brand and have a hierarchy to this brand.
Right.
Scrub Daddy is the brand name, and then we're gonna start making packages that have different colors on them to show which one's Scrub Daddy, which one's Scrub Mommy. We're gonna make a sponge line so that we can compete with Scotch-Brite. We're gonna make a scour line. We're gonna make an eraser line, and it just started.
By the way, at this point, is 3M back on the phone saying, "What the heck, Aaron? What that box that we forgot about?"
Listen, the funniest thing, you know, is of course they passed on Scrub Daddy, right? And now, you know, the number one company in the world is for sponges and scrubbers. They own 80% of the world market share,
right.
And they make the top 3 brands:
right.
Scotch-Brite,
right.
Ocello, and Dobie.
Yeah.
The 2 of them are together under the Scotch-Brite brand, so they're number 1 and number 2. Guess who's the number 3 sponge company in the country?
You guys.
We are.
Well, and I was going to say 3.
So yeah, I assume that somebody's kicking themselves, but you know, 3M is a mega.
Yeah.
And the division that I was working was the automotive aftermarket division.
Yeah.
And they don't even talk to the home products division. They don't even know each other.
Right.
But you know,
but no, when it comes to sponges, they're like the mafia. They control the whole thing, and there's. I know I've tried to do a couple of projects there. It's like, forget about it. You can't even get in there.
So a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years into it, and you can look this up on the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal does an article that says sponge giant 3M fights off upstart. And there's a picture of all these Scotch-Brite sponges stacked on top of each other with a smiling face right on top of them.
That's so funny.
And I said, "Wow, if that doesn't ring someone's doorbell over there, wow."
Well, you should be on the Harvard Business School. Listen, I just saw a History Channel show the other night that Hershey's chocolate, the most richest guy in the 1800s in Pennsylvania, was Mr. Hershey, right? And guess what? He fired this guy named John Reese, right? No. You know where I'm going with that, right? He invented Reese's, and they ended up being bigger than Hershey's.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That's great.
You know, I'm welcome to them coming back to the table anytime they want.
Right.
I had a very good relationship with 3M. I worked with them for 5 years. I had a 3M laptop, a 3M lab book. I was literally one of the heads on their automotive aftermarket division. I was running the buffing pad division at one point. I was traveling the world. I set up 5 plants for them all over the world, in China, in Brazil, in Canada. Those plants are still operational, and they're replicas of my factory.
That's great.
And I had a really great experience with them. They're a really ethical, really fantastic.
Yeah, they really are. They're head patent attorneys as a friend, and Kevin Rhodes, and the chairman is on the NCAI committee that I'm on in DC, and they're just really Minnesota based, right? They're just real people.
Well, you know what 3M prides themselves on, right? It's innovation.
Yes, yeah.
They actually have an innovation center. If you ever go to 3M,
Yeah.
you can tour the most incredible innovation center, and they've changed the world, millions of times.
No, the whole story of the Post-it notes and the inventor, they would allow him 20% of his week just to work on his own to develop stuff. So
That's unbelievable.
now
Well, Warren, it goes to show you, right? Like how we started the
Yeah.
paths, right? I mean,
Yeah.
somebody said no to a box of sponges, and I started out at age 13, right? Picking something that I love to do, and it just crazy how the paths take you and where you end up.
Well, but it's a
follow your
great
passion.
story. It's a great story, Chris, and I'm sure you've had it too, because I had a product called Smart Spin and Rubbermaid turned it down. We went on to sell 12 million of these things. And it's the same story. And I think the story is Aaron and Chris, because I know Chris really well. You guys are on the ground there, in the warehouse, in the factory. You're living it. You're not at 30,000 feet, making decisions, and it's just one of 10 calls. You're actually living it and breathing it, right? I mean, that makes a difference.
Yes.
I'm here running the construction project on our brand new 120,000 square foot facility. And I've got my hard hat here because every few minutes I have to go out and work with the construction crews. We just built the most beautiful facility here in Pensacola, New Jersey. And we're going to turn into our world corporate headquarters. And it is going to be breathtaking. I mean,
that is awesome. And when COVID's over, I want to come down from Connecticut. I'll ride my motorcycle down. I want to visit.
We're going to have our ribbon cutting in September. You guys are invited. We're actually putting $1.5 million of solar on the roof. We'll be completely off the grid.
Wow.
That's now for you to get from where you probably live nearby, right, to Westchester, PA. What's that, like a half hour with no traffic, or
it's more like an hour and a half.
hour and a half. Okay, it's a little farther. Okay, so Chris, so listen, let's give you the last word, because I know that hours come very quickly, and your friendship, what it means to you, and what you guys are going to do next. So.
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm happy to say, I don't know if Aaron, if you heard this yet, but I got Tiny Hook into Walmart.
Amazing.
That was a pretty intense process. Started before COVID, and in the spring everything got pushed out to fourth quarter. Had to do it all over again. Started the process in November, and got approval yesterday. So that's going to hit all the stores. So we're pretty excited about that, and we're continuing to grow the brand and the business, and I'm having fun doing it. That's the key, is enjoying it and having a passion. And I know, much like Aaron, you can feel it when you go to his plants, when you talk to him. And what I appreciate about Aaron the most is I always have access to him. Anytime I need him, I call him, I text him, I get it right back. So I really appreciate that part of our relationship.
Yeah, I really appreciate this morning when I texted you. What time are we on today?
7 o'clock.
That's great.
I was really glad that you wrote right back to me. Yeah, I mean, Chris is amazing. What he's done, and watching his growth and the trajectory that he's on is equally exciting to watch. And I'm glad that we're kindred spirits and we get to be friends and enjoy the growth and success. Having somebody like him who is on the ground. We are literally. I'm still involved daily with the innovations. This morning I was on a Zoom call with Mexico with the buyer. Then I went into the lab. I'm working on a new dish wand, and then I had to run over back to our, to this new facility to oversee the construction. I'm still at it. Anyone who thinks that you're an overnight success and now you're sitting around, eating bonbons, it's quite the opposite.
Well, that's the key right there. And you said it. It's a lot of work, and if anybody doesn't think it is, they're kidding themselves. It's a lot of on the ground, hands-on work.
Yeah,
but fun, enjoying it.
And look, Lori Grenier is very lucky to have a partner like you, because we all have partners that didn't work so hard, and that's key. And Aaron, last question: are you old enough to remember Manley Fieldhouse?
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah, that's where we used to change, and then we'd go out and play out there. So I have fond memories.
I used to live in Del Plaine.
Okay, all right, yeah.
My dorm room, and
that's great. Well, what's the avenue there? Marshall? Is it Marshall? Where all the takeout?
Yeah, Marshall Street.
Yeah.
M Street.
Yeah, our two biggest games were against Syracuse and Hobart, so that was always fun coming down there.
Funny.
Syracuse is a great school, but let me pre-warn anyone who wants to go there, because it is a great school. But you better like the cold, and you better like snow.
Yeah,
because from October to May, it snows every day.
Hey, you think that's bad? Hey, Lawrence, we were 3 hours north of you. Forget about it. Like,
And you get the lake effect snow, so it doesn't stop
that's
snowing.
true. That's very true.
Every morning there was like a fresh inch. I was like, here.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
But I'm glad. I'm gonna say I'm glad I went to school like that. I have some friends who, they went to Miami and Arizona, and like I don't think they ever went to class. I think they were at the beach.
No, Syracuse is a great school. And when I was in college, there was Roosevelt, Bowie, and Louis York, and it was special to watch them. But anyway, I know our hour's coming, and Carmine, one thing you've just talked way too much, Carmine. So just jump in here.
Hey, I was fielding so many questions. Aaron, first off, awesome show. This has been great. But I have a lot of questions on where people could get your coffee mug, your shirt, the necklace you're wearing, and the hat. Everyone wants to buy Scrub Daddy stuff.
Okay, so the necklace you can't get. The necklace is custom, and I'll tell you, my engineer made me one out of just a piece of metal that he cut one day, and I loved it. I wear a chain all the time. My grandma made this chain. And so I started wearing this emblem, and I was living the brand literally. And then a couple years later, he's like, you can't be wearing that piece of steel that I cut. You know what I mean? and so he went and custom made this Scrub Daddy for me, and so I wear it. And now it's turned into a little bit of a prize. Employees that work for the company for 5 years, women and men get one. They don't get a solid gold one. They get a white gold or a silver one. And there's been a couple really special people to our company. Some of our distributors who have sold millions of dollars. My distributor in the UK did like $4 million last year. Wow. And he got one. And the girl, Vanessa, who's Vanessa Amaro, who's doing these TikTok videos for us, she just did a video and got like 12 million views on it. And she's going to be part of our company. I sent her the cutest little Scrub Daddy one. She wears it now in all her TikToks. That's one. Two, mugs and Scrub Daddy masks are available on the Scrub Daddy Smile Shop. Sorry, the hard hats are only here also working. But we have great merch on our store, smileshop.scrubdaddy.com. You can buy all our products on there, and we got great T-shirts, really soft ones you'll want to sleep in. And we have lots of other great merch on there, including the best sponges in the world.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. I was getting a lot of questions on that, and I was trying to field them, but I love it, man. So it's a great show. I mean, nowhere else but the UIA can bring this type of knowledge, experience, and real life information to, and this has been a live show, which Aaron excels at, man. No doubt about it. We've gotten a lot of questions.
Can I throw one more pitch in for?
Of course.
So, inventors, entrepreneurs, just ask my boy over here. We don't stop. Like, it's in your blood, and you can't stop being part of the next, and then 90% of the time, the next is a Scrub Daddy thing, right? But not always. So I play ice hockey. I coach ice hockey. Played for Syracuse. Thought I was going to go pro. Found out that I suck. Got my head bashed in a couple of times. Realized that I should probably get a real job. But I still play and I coach. I'm a season ticket holder to the Flyers. I love hockey. And when I saw a hockey innovation come out with this new hockey stick, which has holes in the blade, it blew me away. And I had to get involved and find out more about it. I started using the stick. I bought my son one of the sticks. This stick is going to change the game of hockey forever. And it's such a major improvement. I went to the guys. I said, "You guys know who I am?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we all use your sponges." This is the owners of the company. And they had been working on this prototype for 3 or 4 years. They really hadn't gotten anywhere. And I knew why. The marketing was horrible. The branding was terrible.
Who is this, like CCM or something? Or who?
No, the company is called Tovi, Tovi Hockey. And at the time, they were calling the company Carbon Sports Airblade. And I'm like, guys, no. So I ended up renaming the company. I said, you guys want to play Shark Tank? They said, yeah. I said, I want this much of the company and for this much money, but there's 2 caveats. I want a seat on the board. And I own your branding, your marketing, your logo design, everything. You give me carte blanche. They said, yes, we signed the deal. I said, we're changing the name of the company. They were like, what's the name of the company? I said, I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. Turns out it's Tovi, Tovi. Okay. And I've been working on it. Now I got them 3 new patents already. And the most exciting thing ever, I was sitting in Gary Bettman's office. He's the commissioner of the NHL. Yeah. Right before COVID in March. We got an invite into NHL headquarters. I demoed the stick. He was blown away. but you have to go through NHL testing and approval. And you can imagine it's both political and impossible. And then COVID hit and hockey got shut down. And, we've just been sitting around. We got a call the day before the season restarted.
Wow.
In January. And they said, we might have some news for you in a couple days. And a couple days later, we got a letter from the NHL. Our stick has been approved.
Hey, mazel tov.
They call it, thank you. It's called conditional approval. The only condition is that whatever player in the NHL uses it, we have to tell them who it was.
Oh, really?
I said, yeah, that's great. I'll take that condition, guys. And so we have conditional NHL approval, and 7 teams have reached out.
Wow.
And expect to see the Tovi hockey stick, TOVI.
Wow.
The blade is full of diamond holes in it, and the air goes right through the blade.
Oh, wow. That's a good idea.
Never tape it, and it's solid molded carbon fiber. It's stronger than steel.
Wow.
And so the sticks don't break as much anymore. The shots are better. The shots are faster. The passing's faster. The ice doesn't build up on the blade. I could go through the list of things, but we're going to take the hockey world over next.
Hey, and only Flyers are allowed to use it for the.
Hey, Aaron, that's amazing because that's a sport, and there's probably innovation in that sport, but there's never real prevalent innovation in hockey.
No, the last innovation in hockey sticks even was over a decade ago, where they switched went from wood to aluminum to fiberglass to carbon fibers.
Right.
They're all carbon fiber now. And that took, almost 15 years.
Now, the same thing happened in lacrosse when we used wood sticks but lighter and stronger. The last innovation in hockey was the mask for the goalie, I think. But I'll tell you a quick story to add on to that. So I helped Lifetime Brands, the biggest housewares company in the country, with their innovation program. And a guy came to me a year ago, and he had developed this really cool sharpener for skates. And
I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. It's a robotic sharpener. You put it in and it automatically does your skate.
Well, that might have been, but his particular venue, and he was like this PhD from Boston, and there was an optical way of seeing whether the skates were sharp or not. And I said to him, dude, that's great, and you can have the entire hockey business. I want it for the cutlery business, for knives. He redesigned it, and we just licensed it. And we're going to take that out, to the house first. So you got to always be thinking, right?
Yeah, I knew that hockey stick was going to be successful because talking about new products and how Aaron is so passionate. I can recall when he first had this thing going, he had NHL guys using it, and he had data, he had speed of the stick, accuracy, shots. Wow. He had all kinds of data he's showing me. I'm going, this is a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
And it gives them an excuse to go back out on the ice.
Yeah.
I get to play and test it. And now I get to meet all these superstars. I was in the locker room with PK Subban the other day.
Oh, right.
Demoing the stick to him. I'm meeting I gotta kind of keep my cool because I'm like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, PK Subban. I'm like, no, but you're meeting Scrub Daddy. So, and you know what's crazy? A lot of these guys knew who I was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, no way. I want to touch on one last thing.
And by the way, I'm a little worried though that it's when it hits people in the face, it's really gonna cut. It's gonna draw blood a little quicker,
Oh, it will just take off.
There'll be a lot more majors called.
But Warren, I want to touch on something you said, and this is where I'll stop because I know I talk a lot. But what you said is honestly one of the most important things about inventors and about inventorship, and that's pivot. And what you just told me is the story of Scrub Daddy. Scrub Daddy was invented for body shops and mechanics to clean their dirty hands.
Right.
And I didn't let the idea go. I saved them in a box. I didn't just throw it out.
Right.
And then years later, I realized and pivoted. This wasn't what it was for.
Yep.
This is the greatest household scrubbing tool in the world. Right. And your guy with a skate sharpener, that was a small little niche market. Right. Sharpening knives, you pivoted and made it a huge thing.
Yep.
And the guy who invented Scotch Guard fabric protectant at 3M, he was inventing it for something completely different and spilled some of this chemical on his shoe. Right. And when he was walking out the parking lot, none of the snow and ice, it was all beating and falling off his shoe. And he went back and was like, what the hell did I invent? Wow. And they pivoted.
Right. Wow.
So you never know when you invent
and
something.
We call it, I like the word pivot, but we call it shift. I'm involved with Blue Ocean Strategy and Blue Ocean Shift. So we got to talk more about that someday. But you're absolutely right. And it's kind of like tech transfer, right? You can use it, and I'm sure that technology for sticks is probably very applicable to many other things.
It sure is. And don't think we aren't already working on them.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, this has been, I'll tell you what, we're way over time now, but this has been back-to-back great weeks for us. And Aaron, thank you so much. And Chris, thank you so much for bringing Aaron on, because and helping us with our credibility with him and your friendship, you know?
Yeah, my pleasure. I always enjoy hanging out with Aaron and talking to him. He's a real person that has been very successful, and he's a great guy. And so is Will. I really like Will too. You guys are an absolute powerhouse team.
Wow. All right, guys, we're gonna close up the show. So great having you guys on. We are truly thankful for having you, and wish you all the success in the world. Obviously, you're making it happen. It's a lot of fun hearing these stories. And for Mr. Aaron Krause, for Christopher Guerrero, Mr. Warren Tuttle, and for myself, Carmen Danisco, thank you, and we'll catch you next time on UIA TV.